That's for my sister.
Okay, scuba diving.
Scuba diving, okay. I started scuba diving as a high schooler. I had a friend that wanted to get into scuba diving, and actually not just a friend, he was a cousin of mine. And he was the kind of cousin that was, you know, when I was younger, he was the cool cousin. The one I always wanted to hang out with. He was in high school and older when I was in middle school. I wanted him to take me everywhere. And so everything he did, I wanted to get into. But the funny thing is, that everything he did, he would spend a lot of money on and start. And then I know he would quit it within a year, so I would buy his equipment at an extremely good deal, slightly used. So when he said, hey, I want to go scuba diving, I want to learn how to do that, I talked my dad into spending the money on me to learn how to do it. And so me and my cousin Dwayne learned how to scuba dive. I was in high school at the time, and not only did I enjoy the water, and always thought scuba diving was really cool, but to be a scuba diver in high school was also a big hit with the ladies because it made me seem really cool to them as well. So a few ulterior motives other than just the adventure. The scuba diving was a lot of fun. We started out, the very first time I ever went scuba diving, we actually snuck some gear from another friend and went before we received our certification. There's a small coral reef off the Holiday Inn in Surfside Beach. And so we went out there in 40-degree weather in thick wetsuits and wetsuit hoods, the type that when you take it off, it leaves this round circle around your face for about 8 to 10 hours. That part doesn't look cool in high school. But so my first experience with scuba diving was very cold, but it was a lot of fun. And so I went again with another group of friends. He had enough gear, we borrowed some more, went back. So the first experience was very cold. The second experience, also very cold, but this time about 6 of us. We were exploring this reef off Springmaid Beach in Myrtle Beach, and all of us got stung in the face by jellyfish. And so that whetted my excitement. I really wanted to try it even more. So when I finished classes to actually get certified, so in other words, my first legal dives ever, scuba diving, we went to some caverns down in Florida in a place called Crystal River. We also went to another place in the springs alongside Crystal River called Rainbow River. And so my first real scuba dive with an instructor, with all the right equipment, actually knowing what I'm supposed to do, number one, avoiding jellyfish, was in some caverns down in Florida. So we swam inside the caverns. We were in there swimming around. We did night dives in the caverns. It was warm down there because the springs come out at a constant 72 degrees. So we were down there, we were swimming with the manatees, we were petting them, and of course they're a lot of fun because you can just swim right beside them and pet them, and they don't care what you do, they just sit there and eat the seaweed off the bottom and just enjoy you playing with them. So those were my first real dives. Lots and lots of fun. I've done many things since then as far as scuba diving. The deepest I've ever been, 104 feet I believe. Been down to 104 feet on a shipwreck off the Florida Keys. And on that shipwreck, it was actually the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Dwayne. And they sunk this ship intentionally when it was scuttled so that you could use it as a coral reef. And also as a place for us to have some adventure and have some really deep dives. And a really excellent place for training. And the reason I was in the Florida Keys, I've had some great opportunities in scuba diving. I actually worked for the Divers Alert Network, which is a dive medicine organization. And before I was married, so my wife didn't get to go with me. She enjoyed the postcards and phone calls, I'm sure, me telling her what I was doing. But they paid for me to live in the Florida Keys. And it was a hard job, though, really hard, because I'd have to get up real early, about 8 or 9, get down to the docks, and then go scuba diving 2 or 3 times a day. You know, it's almost boat rides and all those fish and the warm water and everything. It's a really tough job. And, you know, scuba dive 3 or 4 times a day. I didn't get off work until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then, you know, just exploring around the Florida Keys on my own was just so boring. That, you know, you can see, it's any wonder why I kept diving. But for me, diving is a passion. It's something I really enjoy, something I'm good at. That I can get down there, and I'm a very analytical person. My wife would call that obsessive compulsive. I prefer analytical. Some people prefer anal retentive. I prefer the nicer terms. But it's a sport that I can get down there and I can enjoy. I can look at the animals, I can catalog what fish I see. I've even been on some boring dives where, since it's kind of boring, like in a swimming pool testing out equipment, I'll try to analyze my breathing. Just trying to breathe slower and deeper and extend the air in the tank. So it's something where there's just no lack of excitement, no lack of adventure. And so scuba diving for me, it's a sport I really enjoy and something I would encourage everyone to get into. Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Thank you very much for that good speech. I just can't imagine that your wife was really missed out on being in the Keys, especially in your single day. That's got me a little concerned about that. But we are very glad to hear that speech, and now, as we will proceed to the evaluation portion of our meeting, we're going to present our general evaluator, Dr. Daniel Paul.